Martell Holt, and many believe what happens next could define his public image going forward. People are reacting strongly because of recent accusations and discussions surrounding him, with opinions divided between those who feel he is being unfairly targeted and others who believe he must face accountability for his actions. The controversy has spread widely online, especially after commentary from Tasha K gained attention and triggered massive discussions across social media platforms. What initially seemed like another piece of reality TV gossip quickly escalated into a much bigger issue, with clips, reactions, and opinions spreading rapidly and keeping the story in the spotlight. To understand how things reached this point, it is important to look back at Martell's journey in the public eye. He was once seen as a confident and ambitious businessman who gained recognition through reality television and his personal brand. However, over time, his relationship struggles and cheating allegations involving his marriage to Melody Sherry changed how many people viewed him. These issues played out publicly and led to growing criticism, although he continued to defend himself and stay active in the public space. Despite ongoing controversy, he managed to remain in the spotlight, but the current situation feels much more intense and harder to control. The recent wave of attention began when Tasha K released a video containing serious claims that immediately caught public interest. Social media reacted quickly, with people debating whether the accusations were true or exaggerated. As the video spread, more individuals came forward sharing their own perspectives, which made the situation appear even more complicated and suggested a possible pattern of behavior. This shift caused many supporters to step back, while brands and opportunities reportedly became more cautious. At the same time, Martell's responses did little to calm the situation, as people began analyzing his every word and reaction more closely. As pressure continues to build, the impact is not only public but also personal. Constant attention, criticism, and judgment can take a toll on anyone's mental and emotional well-being, especially when family members are also indirectly affected. What once may have been viewed as entertainment has now turned into a situation with real-life consequences. Many fans who once supported him now find themselves conflicted, unsure of what to believe or how to feel, as the gap between public image and personal reality continues to grow. Ultimately, this situation raises bigger questions about accountability, reputation, and how quickly public opinion can change in the digital age. It also highlights how one viral moment can shift everything almost overnight. Whether Martell is able to recover or rebuild his image will depend on how the situation develops and how he responds moving forward. But for now, the story is still unfolding, and the final outcome is far from certain. As the situation continues to unfold, one of the biggest concerns is whether Martell Holt will be able to regain control of the narrative or if the damage has already gone too far. In today's digital world, once a story reaches this level of attention, it becomes extremely difficult to fully erase or redirect it. Even if new information comes out or clarifications are made, the initial impact often stays in people's minds and shapes how they view everything that follows. At the same time, public reactions remain mixed. Some people feel that he is being judged too harshly based on assumptions and online commentary, while others believe the growing number of voices and claims should not be ignored. This division has created an ongoing debate that keeps the topic alive, with every new post or video adding another layer to the discussion. Because of this, the situation does not seem to be slowing down anytime soon. Behind the scenes, the pressure is likely even greater than what is visible online. When someone is constantly trending for negative reasons, it can affect not only their career opportunities, but also their personal relationships and sense of stability. Trust becomes harder to rebuild, and even neutral actions are often interpreted through the lens of controversy. This makes it difficult for any public figure to move forward without being reminded of past issues. Meanwhile, media commentary and online creators continue to keep the conversation going, breaking down every detail and reacting to every development. This constant cycle of content ensures that the story stays relevant, even when there are no major updates. As a result, the situation keeps evolving in waves rather than coming to a clear stop. Still, there is always the possibility of change. Public perception is not fixed, and over time, people can shift their views depending on new actions, behavior, and consistency. If accountability, growth, or clarity comes into the picture, it can slowly reshape how the story is understood. However, that process takes time and cannot be rushed, especially when emotions and strong opinions are involved. For now, everything remains uncertain. The controversy is still active, the discussions are ongoing, and the public is still watching closely to see what happens next. Whether this becomes a turning point for redemption or continued decline will depend entirely on how the next chapter unfolds, but one thing is clear: the attention on Martell Holt is not fading just yet. As the situation continues to develop, another important factor is how quickly narratives can shift in the public eye. In cases like this, new clips, old interviews, or resurfaced moments often get pulled back into the conversation, which can either intensify criticism or add new layers of context. This makes the situation feel like it is constantly expanding rather than settling, because every detail becomes part of a larger story that people keep revisiting and reinterpreting. At the same time, the role of social media cannot be ignored. Platforms amplify every reaction, meaning that opinions spread faster than facts can be confirmed. This creates an environment where speculation often travels just as quickly as verified information. As a result, it becomes increasingly difficult for the person at the center of the controversy to separate truth from assumption in the public narrative. Everything becomes part of the same conversation, whether accurate or not. For Martell Holt, this means that every move going forward will likely be watched more closely than before. Even unrelated actions may be viewed through the lens of the current controversy, making it harder to rebuild a neutral public image. This kind of attention creates pressure not only to respond, but also to carefully manage silence, tone, and timing, since anything can be interpreted in multiple ways. Meanwhile, audiences themselves are also evolving in how they engage with such situations. Some people are becoming more skeptical of online commentary, choosing to wait for clearer information before forming opinions. Others remain highly reactive, engaging immediately with each new development. This split in audience behavior contributes to the ongoing intensity, as the conversation never fully settles into one direction. Despite all of this, public stories like this often move in cycles. Intense attention is usually followed by periods of quiet before resurfacing again when something new emerges. Whether this situation fades or continues to escalate will depend on what developments come next and how they are received by the public. For now, however, the focus remains firmly on Martell Holt, and the uncertainty surrounding his image continues to shape how the story is being told and understood. As the situation continues to unfold, another key element is how time itself affects public perception. In many online controversies, the initial wave of attention is the strongest, but what follows can determine long-term reputation. If no clear resolution or accountability is established, the narrative often lingers in the background, resurfacing whenever new conversations or related topics appear. This creates a lasting association that is difficult to fully escape, even when the immediate attention fades. At the same time, those involved in public disputes often attempt to shift focus back toward their work, personal growth, or other projects. This is usually an effort to rebuild stability and gradually redirect public attention. However, when a story has already reached widespread visibility, any attempt to move on is often met with mixed reactions. Some view it as growth and maturity, while others interpret it as avoidance or damage control. This difference in interpretation continues to fuel ongoing debate. For Martell Holt, this means that the path forward is not only about addressing the current controversy, but also about consistency over time. Public trust, once shaken, is not restored through a single statement or moment, but through repeated actions that gradually reshape perception. Even then, the process is slow and unpredictable, especially when strong opinions are already established within the audience. Meanwhile, online platforms ensure that past content never truly disappears. Old clips, discussions, and commentary remain accessible and can resurface at any moment, often reigniting conversations that seem to have settled. This constant availability of information means that public figures are frequently judged not only by what is happening now, but also by everything that has been said or shown before. In the middle of all this, the audience continues to play a major role in shaping the direction of the narrative. Engagement, sharing, and commentary all contribute to how long a topic stays relevant. In many cases, the public reaction becomes just as influential as the original event itself, turning individual stories into ongoing discussions that evolve over time. Ultimately, what happens next depends on a combination of response, timing, and public willingness to move forward. Some controversies gradually lose momentum, while others continue to resurface in different forms. For now, the situation surrounding Martell Holt remains open-ended, with no clear conclusion in sight. The attention has not fully settled, and the story is still being written through each new reaction, post, and development that emerges. As the situation continues to unfold, it becomes even clearer that public controversies like this rarely follow a straight path. Instead, they move in phases, intense attention followed by quieter periods, and then sudden resurgences when new information, opinions, or resurfaced content appears. This cycle makes it difficult for any one moment to feel like a final conclusion, because the story is constantly being reshaped by ongoing discussions. Another important aspect is how perception often becomes more powerful than the original facts. Once a narrative forms in the public space, it tends to take on a life of its own. People begin to interpret new events through the lens of what they already believe, which reinforces existing opinions rather than changing them. In situations like this, even small developments can be amplified and turned into major talking points, further fueling the conversation. For Martell Holt, this means that moving forward will require more than simply addressing current claims. It involves rebuilding credibility in an environment where skepticism is already high. That process is gradual and often depends on long-term behavior rather than short-term responses. Consistency, patience, and time become critical factors in whether public perception begins to shift or remains fixed. At the same time, the media and online commentary space continues to play a major role in shaping the narrative. With so many voices contributing, the story becomes layered and complex, with different interpretations existing side by side. This creates an environment where clarity is often difficult to reach, as every new viewpoint adds another dimension to the overall discussion. Despite the intensity of the current moment, public attention is never static. Over time, new topics emerge, competing for focus and gradually shifting attention elsewhere. However, in many cases, past controversies do not disappear entirely. They remain part of a person's public identity, ready to resurface when triggered by future events. Ultimately, the situation remains unresolved and open-ended. The direction it takes will depend on how events develop, how responses are handled, and how the public chooses to engage with the story going forward. For now, Martell Holt remains at the center of an ongoing conversation that continues to evolve, with no clear endpoint in sight. As the situation continues to develop, another important layer is how much influence timing and response strategy have on public perception. In many high-profile controversies, the way a person responds, whether quickly, slowly, directly, or indirectly, can shape how audiences interpret their intentions. Silence can be seen as reflection or avoidance, while immediate responses can be viewed as transparency or defensiveness. Because of this, every action becomes heavily analyzed, often beyond its original meaning. At the same time, the emotional intensity surrounding the situation tends to shift over time. Initial reactions are usually driven by shock, curiosity, or strong opinions, but as days or weeks pass, those emotions often evolve into deeper reflection or fatigue. This can lead some people to revisit their stance, while others become more firmly rooted in their original views. As a result, the conversation rarely moves in one direction. Instead, it fluctuates as new angles emerge and old ones resurface. For Martell Holt, this ongoing attention means that rebuilding his public image, if possible, would require more than addressing the immediate controversy. It would involve sustained effort over time, where actions gradually begin to outweigh assumptions. However, in the digital space, progress is often slow to be recognized, especially when earlier narratives remain widely circulated and easily accessible. Another factor is how audience memory works in online culture. Even when attention shifts to new topics, past controversies can quickly return to the surface if triggered by related discussions or